science.
And start.
Rando science.
What's up, fuckers?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So much for not cussing.
I know. Right before this, we were talking about, maybe we should stop cussing. Not gonna happen.
Yeah. You can take the what is it? You can take the.
I don't know.
God. It's like you can take the something out of the man, but you can't take the man out of or you can take the man out of the guy. All right, let's start over.
No. Whoa. I want the crisp. I want the crispy boy right at the beginning.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can include that.
This is fine. Let's just keep going.
Okay.
You can edit.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. I'll just
That's fine.
I'll put the pop thing before the intro even, and then I'll run the intro, and then we can start.
No, I want you to run the intro first and then pop.
Okay, sure, why not?
All right.
Well, we're doing a couple of episodes to explain our background. Super exciting. We're going to talk about ourselves.
Yeah, we're going to talk about ourselves, and hopefully you find encouragement in our personal life stories.
Yeah.
Because we feel like there could possibly be a little misconception about like how we've gotten to where we are.
Yeah, and like on a deeper level, we just want you guys to feel like you know us.
Right. Yeah, we want to get personal with our audience.
Yeah, we're
for
getting
sure.
personal.
So yeah, we're getting real personal.
Yeah. So this episode we're interviewing Dillon about his past, how he came to be what he is, how he came to have the interests that he has, etc.
Yeah.
So Dillon, tell me a little bit about what it was like for you growing up.
Oof.
Big question right out of the gate, you know?
Yeah. So, oh man. So I come from a family that was bred to breed.
Bred to breed.
Bred to breed.
Wow.
There was not much talk about career or education or success in life. There was talk of growing up and getting married and having kids, and I don't even remember when I realized that wasn't my personal life goal, because for so long I saw my older siblings do that and just have that goal of like
get married and have kids.
Get married and have kids, and that I mean that's exactly what happened to most of them, or not most of them, but I guess a good chunk of them.
Right.
And I'm the youngest of 7 kids, for those who don't know. And
that still blows my mind.
Yeah.
That's so many kids.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 7 kids, and I have 20 nieces and nephews, and I have 1 grand niece.
Wow.
So, yeah. It's and everybody always goes, when I tell people that, they go, "What are you, Catholic?" And I go, "No, I'm just homeschooled." So
your religion is homeschooled.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it was just kind of this weird. I didn't even realize it was weird really until late high school. Really, not even until college. But we just had all kinds of. And I would tell people my story. Like, for instance, I was telling Andrew recently that my freshman year of college, I made the dean's list, and I, had a great GPA, and I landed this internship at Alabama Power, which is a great company to work for, especially in the field that I was in, because I was in chemical engineering at the time. And so basically, yeah, I was doing well for myself, and I called my parents and was talking to them about it. I was like, hey, I'm doing really well in school, and I've got this internship lined up, and blah, 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 blah. And my parents were like, well, are you going to play football? And I was like, no. And it was almost like disappointment.
Right,
because they wanted me to play football.
Yeah, because football is like huge here in Alabama.
Oh,
like
it's super huge.
It's literally like a religion. Like,
no, it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, people. My dad even got to the point sometimes to where he wouldn't watch football games on weekends because he would get so upset about it.
Wow.
He was like, I just can't watch it.
That's
I can't
so
watch
crazy.
It. And I was like, man, you really gotta calm the fuck down.
Right. It's like it's just a game. It's like
yeah.
it's made for your enjoyment.
Yeah, like God, dude. Like I get it. Like I get mad sometimes too. I'm frustrated. I get frustrated. Mad's not the right word. I don't get mad. I get frustrated. like I'm still frustrated about like Auburn losing in the Final Four.
Yeah,
right?
well, I mean, it's like, it's fun to like be a part of something.
Right. Yeah, it's fun. It's like bitching about a professor, right?
Right.
Whenever you bond,
it's fun to bandwagon.
Yeah, exactly. When you bond over like how shitty a professor is, there's no other bond like that bond.
Are we gonna mention names or no?
No, we're not gonna give it. Well, we could, but I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave them out.
Let's
of
leave it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm it's a first generation college student. I guess my dad has an associate's degree, and he's an LPN. But I'm the first person in my family to graduate with a bachelor's degree.
Wow.
Which is kind of wild out of 7 kids.
Yeah.
You
So how did you get into chemical? Like chemical was originally what you started with.
Right. Yeah.
But you do computer science now. So how did you get into chemical in the first place? Since it wasn't like a part of your family dynamic, like what led to you being interested in
it? So basically, there was a time in my life where my parents were so caught up in other things, and being homeschooled, they didn't have the time to really homeschool me, right?
Okay.
So it was like,
you mean they were just like too busy to?
They were too busy.
Like,
my mom was so like all my siblings had kids, and they were constantly asking my parents for help. And then my mom's parents got sick. So my mom's dad got throat cancer and couldn't eat, so he had to be fed through a tube. And then my mom's mom had severe dementia and Alzheimer's and couldn't. I mean, half the time didn't even remember my mom's name. So, and I probably heard her say my name within the last 5 years of her life. I probably heard her say my name like twice. So like my mom spent most of her time taking care of her parents or taking care of my siblings' kids, helping them take care of their kids, because my mom's a mom. Like, she's just that's what she does.
It's like become a big part of her identity.
That's kind of who she is. She's constantly taking care of people, and I don't blame her for that. And I'm not upset. I'm not upset with anybody for it. And then my dad was just kind of like, I don't know, he was there, but like he most of my high school, or a good chunk of my high school, he worked at a pest control company and did like restaurant pest control. So it was like at night, and then he would sleep during the day. And so basically, like, I don't know, my parents just weren't around, and neither one of them were really, I don't know, I guess educated enough to teach me the kind of thinking and the kind of math and science that I really needed to know. So around the age of 16, I started dating this girl that was like the girl of my high school. She was 4.4 GPA and president of every club ever. And I remember I broke my collarbone playing football, and she would ask me like, how are you doing school, because it was my left hand.
Yeah. And
I'm left-handed.
Right.
So I couldn't like write or anything. She was like, so how are you doing school? And I was just like, oh, I'm not.
Wow, you're pretty.
Yeah, like, let's change the subject. So for like 4 years of my life, I just didn't do any school. My mom will contest that till the day she dies, but I know I was there, and it was me. I know for a fact that I didn't do any school.
Wow.
So yeah, for 4 years I just didn't do any school, and I started dating this girl, and she's like, how are you doing school? And I'm like, oh shit, So then her dad, actually, who was had his PhD and was pretty high up in the environmental side at Alabama Power, started encouraging me and tutoring me in chemistry, right?
Right.
So at this point, chemistry is like all I know.
Right.
When he starts tutoring me, right?
So it was just like first.
Yeah, it was just first.
Not even really
just
that
the first
you were
thing.
Like that intrigued by it. It was just the first thing that was
right.
Like,
well, it was just the first thing that kind of like caught my attention, and
right.
and it was the first thing that made me feel smart.
Yeah.
For so long, I thought I was stupid because I was like, I don't know anything because I don't do school.
Right.
And I kind of avoid it because I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So trying to do it makes me feel even more stupid. So I would avoid intelligent conversations.
Right.
Right. So I remember when I started doing chemistry with him, the first day he was like, oh my God, you're smart. And I was like, what? I'm smart? And he was like, yeah, you're like super smart. And we went through an entire chemistry book. And at the end, I remember at the end, we wrapped everything up and he looked at me and he said, congratulations, you taught yourself chemistry. And I was like, what are you talking about? You helped me. And he was like, I did nothing. he was like, I just told you to read the book and do the assignments. And like, that was it. And
right.
He was like, and I gave you a test every now and then. He was like, you taught yourself completely the entire book. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I kind of went through this like, okay, I need to catch up because I've been not doing school for 4 years and I want to go to college.
Right.
So I spent 4 years not 4 years, sorry. I spent 2 years just doing math, and I took one writing class, and I took a world history and religion class, and that was it.
Yeah.
But I also, the math that I was taking, I didn't take any breaks. So for 2 years consecutively, no Christmas break, no summer break. I mean, I just consecutively just did math. And I did 180 problems every week.
Wow.
Until I graduated high school. Yeah, it was a little somewhat overkill, I think, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, I made it to college and I ended up graduating with a 3.7 in software engineering.
Right.
From Auburn University, which I think, Auburn may not be the best school ever.
Well, it actually has like a reputation for being difficult to have a 4.0.
Right.
I learned that just the other day.
Yeah, Auburn is very difficult to have a 4.0. I think it's one of the hardest schools.
It's definitely
in
the
country.
top 10. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the hardest schools in the country to get an A.
To get a 4.0, yeah.
Yeah. So I graduated from Auburn University with a 3.7 in software engineering, and personally, I just think.
And the first one to do it in your family.
First one to do it in my family with a bachelor's degree, right? And it, not only that, but it just, all you got to do is work, man.
Yeah.
You just put your head down and you just bust your ass.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
So here's something. So you could have done something totally different, right? You could have done business, you could have done economics, you could have done psychology, you could have stayed with chemical. But so what was it about software that was appealing to you? Why did you make that? How and why did you make that switch?
Yeah. So like I said, I started in chemistry, and that was, like we said, pretty much that was just the first thing.
Yeah.
And the girl that I was dating, her dad, who taught me chemistry, was basically just here's what you need to do. Here's a life. Basically, he was
planned out a life for you.
Yeah, he planned out a life for me, and I was like, oh, that sounds pretty easy. I'm already good at
Right.
chemistry, so why not?
Yeah.
And I'm just the kind of person that doesn't take failure's not an option for me. So getting a bad grade in a class is
right. Yeah.
I'm just not gonna let that happen.
It bugs you.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take a B and
Sure.
be like, okay, but
right.
I'm not gonna be super happy about it.
Right. Yeah.
I'll accept it. But anyway, so yeah, he was basically go to school, get your chemistry degree, and co-op at Alabama Power while you're in school. I'll basically told me I'll hook you up with a job, and he did.
Yeah.
Freshman year, he gave me an internship,
Wow.
and they wanted to keep me on. Actually, when I went back for my sophomore year of school, they wanted to keep me working part time at the power plant in Mobile,
Right.
until I finished Cal 1, and then they were going to hire me as a co-op.
Right.
And I could have just ridden that out.
Yeah, and you'd be at Alabama Power.
I'd be at
now.
Alabama Power right now. Yeah. And I was like, this is so boring. Oh my God, it was awful. Just everything about the work environment was so boring.
Yeah.
And I wanted something that was bleeding edge.
Sure,
I wanted
sure.
something that was because I just felt like a lot of the time that they spent, a lot of the things that they did could have been done a lot quicker.
Right.
I felt like they wasted a lot of time, and I felt like with computers and with software and technology, I could get that bleeding edge, right? I could get this this like, I don't know, this satisfaction.
You could feel like you're
like I'm fucking doing something.
Yeah, well, more like it's like what we talk about with 3 Blue 1 Brown. Like it feels like you're discovering it, even though you may not be the person who actually discovered it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So, and then on top of that, I already had like a brother who owned a software company in Birmingham. And then I had a friend of mine I had a friend that was in computer science at Rice, and then I had another friend that had just graduated from South Alabama in computer engineering. That was Brad.
That we interviewed.
And just between all of those influences and talking to them, and then starting my own startup, that was technologically based. I was like, man, I really need to learn this shit.
Man, now that I've started a company around it.
Exactly, yeah. So that was when I made the switch. So I switched over to computer engineering.
Okay.
And mother of God, I hated my electrical engineering classes.
Okay.
They were miserable. And the electrical engineering from working in Alabama Power, I had flashbacks. I was like, no.
Yeah, right.
This is going to take me back to Alabama Power.
Right.
And I was like, absolutely not.
That's kind of cool. So you like started in chemical and then you got into something like computer related and then you like narrowed the focus.
Yeah, it was very progressional. Is that a word? Progressive. Yeah. It was a progression.
I don't even know. Yeah,
it was a progression.
Yeah, because progressive makes me think like like liberal or something.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a progression. So it was a very obvious progression. It was
right.
Like
it felt natural.
Yeah. And then at one point I hit a point at South Alabama where I was done, man. I was sick of the professors. I was sick of the campus. I was sick of that whole area. Mobile as a city is just awful. It's terrible. Yeah. I hate it. And so I hit this point where I was like, okay, I either need to leave or switch majors. And switching majors would have meant switching to computer science because they didn't have software engineering. But I had already gone through a lot of engineering courses. I had already been through like Cal 1, Cal 2, Cal 3, Physics 1, Physics 2, like digital logic. I had been through all these like really engineering courses that computer science majors didn't have to take. And then I would have had to take like 2 literature classes. And I was like, I don't want to take literature. I was like, because I hated literature classes. I was like, I can't do this. So I was like, you know what? I've been an Auburn fan my whole life. I've used to visit Auburn all the time in high school because my brother had friends that lived there, and I'd go visit and get fucked up and have good times in Auburn. So I always loved Auburn, and I was like,
get drunk.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I was like, why not? I'm just gonna look into it.
So your priorities weren't really education.
They were education.
Okay. Yeah, in some ways.
They definitely were because I had friends that had recently graduated or had friends that were currently at Auburn that were telling me about like how much opportunity Auburn has provided. And I was comparing that to South Alabama.
Yeah.
And like South Alabama just doesn't have the resources for their engineers to provide them with a whole lot of opportunities.
And that's not a little caveat. Something that I didn't know about Auburn is like we basically have a steady flow of people getting jobs at like Google, for example.
Yeah.
So it's like that's a huge resource that people don't know about until they get in here.
Well, it's that, and like just the co-op day where they have like companies come in and it's like speed dating for a job.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like they're literally
it's so helpful.
If what I always tell people, if you're an engineer and you leave Auburn without a job, then you had to have tried to leave Auburn without a job.
Yeah, or just like you had to have done nothing really.
Yeah, you had to have just like not given a flying fuck.
There's
like,
so many opportunities.
They spoon feed their engineers.
They really, I mean, they take care of you.
Yeah, they really do.
In most majors.
Yeah, and I had heard about that from some friends that I knew at Auburn, and they were just and I was like,
that sounds great.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah. So, and I wanted to be in software. Like that sounded really appealing to me.
Nice.
So I transferred school and transferred schools and switched to Auburn, or switched to software engineering, and I just kind of took off from there. I mean, I really tried to submerse myself, that's the word I'm looking for. Immerse myself into the software culture. Like I tried looking. I started looking up like software engineering podcasts.
You bought cardigans.
What? Yeah, I guess I did. I did buy some cardigans. I bought like the glasses.
Drinking lots of coffee.
Oh, I've been doing that for a while.
Around.
I started doing that freshman year of college.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I really just kind of invested.
Right. Yeah.
I bought into the software engiering like role.
Where
of
in
life.
this did we meet? Like how
we met,
how early in your Auburn career?
I know exactly. I know the first time it sounds, wow, this sounds really gay, but I remember the first. I have a really good memory with faces and people, so like don't overthink this. I remember the first time I saw you, and I remember the first time we met.
Okay.
So the first time I saw you was the first day of Java 2.
Okay.
And you were president of ACM,
yeah.
and you came in and you started talking about the hackathon.
Yeah.
So you gave a little spiel about the hackathon, and I was like, man, that guy looks like a faggot. Am I allowed to say that on this podcast?
I don't think so.
I was like, man, that guy you just really irked me. I was like, he looks like a douche.
We might have to bleep that one.
Yeah, we might have to bleep that one.
Wow.
Whoops. Sorry. No, I was just like, I don't know.
Really letting loose.
Anyway, I am. I'm just kind of opening up.
I'm fine with it.
So I was like, man, this guy looks like a douchebag. He's got like a nose ring, and he's wearing like torn up jeans, and ugh. So
yeah.
So then the next time I saw you,
I still wear them.
I know you do. The next time I saw you was when Google came.
Okay.
And so Google showed up, and they had like this resume workshop or whatever.
Yeah.
And I totally went in there to be just a douche.
Why?
Because I already felt like I had a pretty good resume, and I felt like I had probably more like real world experience than most of the people.
You're probably right.
In the software engineering like department.
Right.
So I kind of went in there, and I was like, well, at that point I think I had already been working at like an actual company. I've been working remotely for like
almost a year.
Almost a year at that point. Yeah. So it's almost been a year at that point, and I've been, just I had a lot of experience. And at that point I had already done freelance work. I had done, contract work, and I had a job. And then you were sitting there, and I wanted to work at Google. Like, yeah. Obviously, like that's like the NFL of software engineering, right?
Right, yeah. Or the NFL of jobs.
Yeah, it really is. It's the NFL of jobs. So I showed my resume to the Google guy that was there. And you had already landed your job, your internship.
Yeah.
So you may have just gotten out of it. I think you had just finished yours.
I think I just finished my first one.
Your first one, right? Yeah. So, and I was talking to No. You hadn't done it yet. You were going. You were leaving. Because this was January 2019.
Yeah, okay. Okay, then yeah, maybe I hadn't.
I
But
think
I think I had heard that I got it.
Yeah,
so.
you already knew that you had it.
Okay.
So I went and talked to you and was like, hey, like, what can I do? Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, he like referred you to me.
Yeah, he was like, go talk to him.
He was like, go talk to him. He's done it.
So I went and talked to you, and I was like, oh, like, what, how can I prepare? How can I do this? How can I do that? And I at this time, like, I still, and I feel like I think this about myself in every, like, I think, like, today I know way more than I knew yesterday.
Right.
That's just the kind of person I am.
Well, yeah.
So, like, looking back now, I didn't know a fucking thing when I was talking to you. And I felt like an idiot, but like...
Well, I know way more than I knew then, too. So.
And I had this, like, oh, I need to, like, prove myself. Like, so, like, I was like, oh, well, I work remotely, and I've done freelance work, and I do contract work. And I was just kind of, like, showing off.
Right.
And I remember, like...
In your cardigan.
In my cardigan. I actually was wearing a cardigan.
I know, I remember it, too, yeah.
And so... And I asked... what was it? You
You asked me what I was going to be doing, I think, for my
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I asked you what you were going to be doing. You said some crazy shit about like hyperparameters and black boxes, and I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
Because you hadn't heard of them at the time.
I was like, I have no idea what that is.
Right.
And I immediately felt stupid. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm an idiot. And
it's a good feeling.
Sometimes.
It's a necessary feeling.
It is a necessary. I will say that. Yeah, it's necessary. It's not good.
Promotes
It
growth.
doesn't feel good. So
I feel it all the time. Don't worry.
Oh, I do too. Trust me. I'm like, man, I'm stupid.
I talk to people sometimes and I'm like, I'm not smart enough to talk to you.
Yeah, just stop talking. Just walk away. I'm wasting your time. Like, But so yeah, just kind of like, I think that's how we met.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah,
that was the end.
So
of it.
I have another question. So coming from a family and a background where you really didn't have any examples of somebody who had achieved what you wanted to achieve.
Right.
What kind of advice and what kind of mentality, what kind of attitude do you recommend to people who are also in that situation?
Ignore everyone but yourself.
Okay.
Ignore everybody but yourself. And actually sometimes ignore yourself.
Yeah.
Every semester I went into college, at the beginning of every semester, I had this lingering thought and feeling of, this is it. This is the semester that's going to break me.
Like, I'm going to drop out.
This
and
is
be
the
a
one
failure
where
or
I'm going to
something.
fail. I'm going to get bad grades. I'm going to fail out. I'm going to drop out. And I'm not going to graduate college the way that I want to.
Right.
And that was a horrible feeling. I remember, like, if I ever, like, got a bad grade or, like, just, like, fucked up a homework or something like that, that's immediately where my mind went. It was like, you're fucked.
Over.
Yeah, you're done.
Over.
Like, why are you even in this degree? It's way too hard for you. You're an idiot, you know?
Well.
And you just have to drown that out. And, like, you just have to, like, and there's some times where it's so hard where you're sitting there thinking, like, God, I'm a fucking idiot. Like, why am I even trying to be an engineer? And you just have to go. You just have to just push through it. Really, like that's all I can say is that, like, you can't even ignore it. Sometimes you have to sit there and just sit
Totally.
there and just let it feel that way.
I think it's so funny too because so many people like perceive you as like such a confident person. Like it would be complete news to them that like that's how you felt at the beginning of every semester.
Oh yeah, people have always like perceived me as like this super like cocky, confident, like
nothing can phase you.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna succeed no matter what.
Right.
But like internally, you have that kind of struggle just
all
like
the
anybody
time.
else.
Yeah. Even still today, sometimes I'll be working on like a problem, and I'm like, God, I'm so dumb. And I'm like, why did I pick this major? Like, why did I get this degree? Why am I in this field? But then, like, I'll solve a problem, and I'm like, fuck, yes. Like, it's such a good feeling.
Yeah. I think that's, like, a huge skill to learn, where you learn to, like, minimize those obstacles, where, like, you minimize that negative self-talk, and you minimize, like, the impact of failure.
Yeah.
Then you really stretch those, like, waves of achievement.
Absolutely.
Where it's like you ride off the momentum of your last achievement into your next one. You know?
And even so, like, one thing that I've learned a lot recently from yoga and just like practicing mindfulness is I've always known about positive self-talk. I learned that in high school from my head football coach.
The power of positive thinking, right?
Yeah, and it's super cheesy, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But there's a lot of power in it. And be careful with how cheesy you think it is, because the more cheesy you think it is, the less prone you are to actually do it.
Sure, yeah.
Because if you think it's cheesy, you're like, oh, it's not real. Like, it's not actually going to work. No, it fucking works.
Well, I think that's the point, right? Is like, even if it is cheesy,
who cares?
If it works, then
it works.
Like, it works.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like
it's like placebo effect. It's like, even if it's placebo effect, but if it worked, it worked.
Yeah, it worked for that person.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying like people should be prescribing sugar pills.
Right.
know?
No.
But it's maybe another good example is like free throws in the NBA.
Right.
There've been a ton of studies which show if professional NBA players would just do granny style free throws, like literally in between the legs and everything,
Right.
their free throw percentage would go up to near 100%.
Wow.
Near 100.
Seriously.
But none of them will do it because it looks stupid.
Looks ridiculous. Yeah.
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
If it works, it works. It doesn't
works.
matter if it's cheesy.
Yeah. And I've even so I recently started doing yoga, and like for the first, I've been probably like a month and a half. I've probably been doing yoga, maybe a little longer, give or take a couple of weeks, right?
Right.
For the first month, probably. Honestly, in the last 2 weeks, I probably really bought into it. But for the first month, the instructor that I listen to will say at the end of every practice, like, be proud of yourself, thank yourself, and like,
right,
you know, just like talk to yourself for being here, for even getting on the mat today.
Right.
And for the first month, I just kind of ignored that.
Yeah.
And then recently in the past 2 weeks, when he started saying that, I would literally in my head, like, I would say my own name. Like, thank you, Dillon, for investing in yourself.
In your body, yeah.
In your body and in your mind.
In your health.
Just in your health. And I would literally thank myself. And I still do it every time I do yoga.
Yeah.
I go, thank you.
One thing that I love from, like, practicing yoga, I love the thought of, like, give yourself permission
to lay here.
To be here.
Yeah, to be here. Yep.
Give yourself,
I love that.
Also, another one, give yourself permission to not be good at it.
Yep. Yep.
Like, I feel like if more people would adopt, that's actually an idea that comes from Zen Buddhism, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. So
I'm not surprised. So they seem like such happy people.
There's a concept called beginner's mind.
Right.
Which is that every day you should.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah. Every day you should approach everything that you do as if you're a beginner.
Right.
And it'll first of all, it'll keep you humble.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because if you're a beginner, then there's no reason to have
no reason to think that you're
ego
the shit.
Trip, you
right.
know?
Exactly. Yeah.
But second of all, it'll make you happier, like what you're talking about. Because if you fail, it's like, well, that's what beginners do.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
I'm not an expert. Like,
if you fail, you're just like, oh well.
Yeah, I'm a beginner. I'm learning.
Yeah.
Right.
I predicted
my
that.
only goal is to learn. It's not to succeed.
If you approach life with this mentality that everything you do is a learning experience, then you never fail.
Right. Yeah. It's so cool.
And I think that's the only way to approach life. Yeah. And college was a huge battle for me. Like I said, every semester was just this internal struggle.
Right.
And fight with my own self-doubt. And, you know, even though I consistently got good grades, I'm not even kidding you, even in hard classes, I would get good grades. And the next semester, I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, I'm fucked. Like, this is it. And
so, here you are. You're done.
I graduated. I fucking graduated.
With a good GPA?
With a good GPA. And I graduated with a good GPA and a lot of really good opportunities ahead of me.
Right. Let's talk about that. So, like, where are you going from here? What's next?
Ooh, I really want to work at SpaceX. Yeah. I really want to work at SpaceX. So my infatuation with space came from my dad, to be honest.
Yeah.
It came from his obsession to prove creation theory.
Okay.
We would sit and watch these videos about space, about Earth and the probability
planets and how the solar system's arranged and
like how everything, like the fact here's one thing that a lot of people don't think about with the Earth. Everybody knows that, like, if we were 5% closer or 5% further away, then if we were 5% closer, then the Earth's rotation would actually stop and one side of the planet would get cooked while the other side of the planet froze.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
Yeah, I didn't know that, actually.
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that it would stop rotating. I knew that it
would stop rotating because the radiation from the sun would just penetrate the fuck out of our magnetic field.
Interesting.
And literally just slow the rotation to a stop.
Huh.
Yeah.
Weird.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the next big thing is that, like, if we didn't have such massive planets like Jupiter in our solar system, then we would get fucking pelted with asteroids.
Yeah, because they pull them away from us.
They pull them away from us. Not only do they pull them away from us, they'll slingshot them like out of the solar system sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
It's crazy to me that it doesn't slingshot them into other
into
planets.
us. Yeah. So, and I just got, I thought it was so crazy, like all these things that just add up. Like if gravity was like just a little bit stronger, I can't remember like what that would cause, but I just remember like that was such a like crazy thing to me. Like if gravity was like 5% stronger, we'd all be fucked.
Right.
And then like,
well, we certainly would have evolved differently.
Yeah. Assuming anything could evolve.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But if like the force of gravity, I'm not talking about if Earth weighed a little bit more and had a stronger gravitational pull.
I see what you're saying.
I mean,
the constant.
The constant of gravity. If it was a little bit stronger, then nothing could really work.
Interesting.
And there's so many different little things like that where just like you're like, what?
Yeah.
And I became obsessed with like this just the crazy outlandish possibility that or probability that we are where we are right now. And that just like looking up into the stars and going like, holy fuck.
It makes you grateful for your existence.
Yeah, it makes you grateful for everything.
Yeah.
You're just like, wow, this is nuts.
It's so cool.
So I'm super obsessed with space, and SpaceX to me is hopefully within the next 10 years of my life. I'd like to get there before 2024. Yeah. So that I can help be a part of the team that puts people on Mars for the first time.
That'd be so cool.
That's a dream come true right there. But yeah.
Make it happen, man.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
But
cool.
Any other questions?
No, I mean, we talked about your past, we talked about your present, talked about your future.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe we'll do the same thing we do with guests.
I knew it. I knew you were gonna do it. I was like, is he gonna do it?
Yeah. So take your time. Tell us what you want the followers to hear.
I would just say to anybody out there that is, struggled with self-doubt, which I feel like just about everybody has, really and truly self-talk works. Believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is necessary to just kind of sit in that self-doubt and just let it roll. Just let it ride out. Just feel like crap for a day. And like there's nothing wrong with that. Like you don't always have to be happy. You don't always have to be perfect. And that's just part of life. There's going to be good times, there's going to be bad times, and you just got to kind of roll with the punches, because I fully and wholeheartedly believe that life isn't about it's 5% what you make happen and 95% how you react to things that happen to you. And you choose to lay down and die when something bad happens to you, or you can choose to lay down and die when your situation sucks, or you can stand up and do something about it.
Yeah.
So
good advice. Thanks, Dillon. Hopefully you guys that are listening enjoyed that, getting to know Dillon a little bit better. Maybe now when you listen to future episodes, you can kind of connect with his story a little bit. So,
yeah, I hope this really kind of opened your eyes. I may look like I kind of had everything set up for me and that everything just kind of worked out, but that's far from the case.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Rando Science. Signing off.